Hi, I'm Pam Thomas, and I'm Executive Director, CEO, Founder, and Curator for Black Folks Make Movies, which is bringing to you the Fade to Black Film Festival, happening October 12th through the 14th. And I'm coming to you from the Cincinnati Herald.com site for profiles. It's Fade to Black a retrospective celebration of Black American film from 1910 to the present, or as we fondly refer to it as F2B. It is a non-traditional film festival in that it's an educational film festival because it's not a competition, right? You don't have to submit a film, pay an entry fee, deadlines, and all that madness. I'm the curator. So my specialty is the history of Black American film from 1910 to 1950, commonly referred to as the race movie time period. And the festival, I like that, connecting the dots and celebrating that string through history of Black American film from 1910 to the present, okay? And watching that progression. I love that. I love history. And the whole point, there's 2 points behind Fade to Black. One is, it's to expose people to the fact that we've been making movies since making movies began, okay? And most people are clueless. You ask someone, be they of color or not, you ask them, who was the first Black filmmaker, you think? And to a person, they'll say Spike Lee. No, let's think a little further back. Then I usually end up hearing something like Superfly or Sweet Sweetback. It's like, nope, wrong again. Let's go back a little further. They don't know. And as far as, there's one particular filmmaker from that time period, from the race movie time period, Oscar Micheaux, who is considered the dean of Black independent filmmaking. During that time period, from 1915, from 1915 to 1950, he died in 51, he made over 40 films, while approximately 500 films were produced during this time period. He made about 10% of them, okay, which is pretty prolific when you think about it. And for me, Oscar Micheaux is one of the first ones, okay, and he was one of the best ones. I won't even go into why and whatnot because we'll be here all day. He was the one that came up with the whole concept of four-wall booking, which the industry as a whole was following for decades, okay? That was his idea. And the thing is, as I said, there are 2 reasons why Fade to Black was conceived. It happened, the initial concept came up after my film, Midnight Ramble, Oscar Micheaux, and the Story of Race movies, was on the American experience. And it became during the course, it took 10 years to make that documentary. The first 2 of those 10 years, I was doing research all on my own. At the time, I was working at Harvard Law School, so I had access to a lot of different libraries, and Nathan Huggins was still alive, and in talking to him, he recognized the importance of the film, and he gave me permission. I was allowed to go in certain areas of some of the libraries where only researchers could go, right? So I had that. which was great. But, you know, during the course of making researching the film, it became painfully obvious that this history had been ignored for decades. And there was a lot of information out there that most people weren't aware of. Okay. So the idea of doing this documentary became even more intense. Got to do this, got to do this. So it took 10 years, but it was worth it, because nothing worth it is easy. Okay. Which of course is reflected in Fade to Black, as this is not easy putting together, but it's a lot of hard work, and people don't realize what's involved, all the little pieces that are involved in doing this. But anyway, after the film Midnight Ramble screened, then I decided, okay, I need to take this information and start spreading the word, right? And so I started doing lectures and presentations and whatnot, and was thinking about a film festival. I didn't know how it was going to work, but it just stuck in my mind. So for years, I have been working on this for years. But the thing is, I've lived in different places across the country, right? And most places that I've lived, I've done either a film festival, or they're focused on filmmakers of color, or I've done some kind of a presentation, okay, that had to do with blacks in media or people of color in media, right? Not just blacks, but everybody, right? And so all that work, all those festivals, all those little programs and whatnot are culminating in Fade to Black. So that's part of the reason why I'm so excited. And when other people hear about it, they're excited too. Because we have a really nice roster of folks. This is our first year. The festival is based out of the University of Cincinnati Center for Film and Media Studies. Xavier recently came on board, Arts and Sciences Department, so they're sponsoring some screenings. Next year they will be a full partner with UC, and hopefully NKU will come on board as well, because I envision these screenings, this festival, going on all over the city in this loop of colleges, because it's education-based. Everything I do is education-based. So again, that's why I say this is an educational film festival. Because people are being exposed to something they really don't know that much about, which is great. So ultimately, I envision a 10-day festival where each decade is addressed each day.
Oh.
Right? So do it in order, chronological order. So just follow that line, that string, okay, that connects race movies. Well, race movies are called that because during that particular time period, 1910 up to 1950 or through 1950, everything that dealt with black folks was called race, like race movies, race organizations, race people, race, whatever. That was just a label, okay, like it's black now or African American. Back then it was just race, okay. Once upon a time we were colored, and then Negro, and so it's just the name, the label has just gone through all these different mutations, but so it wasn't anything negative. It was just, this is what it is. That means if it's race something, that means it addresses the black community. So race movies are films that were primarily done by, for, and about the black community. Because we had an itch to see ourselves through our own eyes as opposed to somebody else doing the describing, okay? Somebody else telling our story. We told the story. So As far as race movies and what that all implies, movies, period, hit you on so many different levels. People don't realize what's happening. They see a film one time and think, oh, well, I've seen this, and let's see something else. No, 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 no. Most films, if they're worth their salt, you go back and see it a second time, a third time, and each time you see it, you see something else. All right? Until you finally have the total. There's no way you can really get it first time out, other than the fact, oh, this is interesting, or it's funny, or, the story was cute, or, whatever. But upon revisiting the film, you get a better sense of what the filmmaker was doing, what the writer was shooting for, what the story really implies, It's like that with most films. I mean, we just did a screening of Get Out, and down at the Mini Micro Cinema, which Black Folks Make Movies does this, every third Sunday, and it's free. And anyway, we just did a screening of Get Out. It was packed. It was standing room only when we started the movie. And by the time we were done, you had a discussion, And then people were saying, oh, this is the second, or this is the third time, or this is, the fourth or fifth, whatever time I've seen it. And every time I see it, I see something new, So anybody that's a filmmaker, their film should have that same kind of impact. You're getting hit from a psychological perspective, or a philosophical perspective, or a sociological perspective, whatever. There's a lot going on. There's layers, right? And seeing the film more than once gets that point across. So it's the same with race movies. There's been extensive research done on Oscar Micheaux and his work by Pearl Bowser in particular, who was co-director of my film Midnight Ramble, which of course again opens the festival. And she and Jane Gaines is the other woman out of Duke University that have done extensive work, research and whatnot into Oscar Micheaux, and have come up with some really, really, really interesting observations about his work, that many people tend to look at his work as cursory. Okay, it's just like a quick overview. There's not that much to it. They're crude. They're this, that, and the other. Yeah, if you just sit down and watch it once and don't know the culture behind what's up on that screen, then you just breeze right by it. But when you really study it and look at his work more than one time, you begin to realize, oh, he's playing with you. He's doing all kinds of stuff to using all kinds of tricks or whatever to expose certain things that happen to us within our community, what we do to each other, that kind of thing. So you begin to see how important these films are, his work and other filmmakers from that time period, black filmmakers from that time period. So again, that's what Fade to Black is about. Exposing people to this history and celebrating that history. Okay. Celebrating the work, appreciating the fact that, my God, these films were done in 1915 or 1912 or, And then you get to see a kind of this progression from silent to sound to now. Okay. And Fade to Black is 2.5 days. That's it. Right now. This is the first one. And again, it's based out of University of Cincinnati, Center for Film and Media Studies. So next year, I envision 5 days. And then, with the ultimate goal of a 10-day event where each day focuses on a specific era and we do it in order. Okay. Awesome. And somebody had the nerve to ask me, it's very insulting, said, well, do you think there's enough films to do? Excuse me? What did I just say? over 500 films were done, as far as race movies go, were done in that time period. We have been making movies since 1910. Are there enough? Yeah, more than enough that still survive. That's the key. But we got them, you know. So there's plenty of time and hopefully plenty of interest to get people to come and check it out.
Okay.
You know.
And how can people check it out? Where can they buy tickets at, or where can they support
There's two places. First, online at Brown Paper Tickets, there's a complete breakdown of costs, what sessions are, what's happening during whatever session. I'm referring to the screenings as different sessions because there's the film and then there's the discussion afterwards, right? So that fits into a 2-hour session, hopefully. Now, it looks like we're going to be screening the Wilmington 10 documentary. That's a full, solid 2 hours right there. But that's okay, because this is a significant film. And Dr. Ben Chavis will be here to discuss the film. And considering the fact that he was one of the original Wilmington 10, that's like incredible. Okay, he will be here. The other place to get tickets, first, of course, is online, brownpapertickets.com. Then you can also get tickets at the door. We will have tickets available here at the Herald office. They should be available within about 10 days. So you can come here and buy your tickets. The other thing that I want to stress is the thing that needs to be purchased, the tickets that really need to be purchased in advance. 2 programs. One is the production masterclass, which features Stanley Glover, Charles Burnett, Carol Monday Lawrence, Bester Cram, who was my co-producer on Midnight Ramble, Patrick James Thomas, whose 30-minute short we're premiering. This is the Cincinnati premiere for this particular film, called Cut My Hair, Barber. And that's going to happen during the high school, grade school age programming called Foundation Prime. That happens on Friday morning from 9 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I want to stress the fact that the VIP reception is a paid event. And because it's being catered, I need to know how many people are going to show up. Okay? So I can tell the caterer, which is Just Queuing, how many people to plan for. So I'm stressing, please, dear God, get out there. If you want to go to the VIP VIP reception, you got to buy your tickets ahead of time so we know what to plan for. Because I'm telling you, if I have to guess and we run out of food, hey, that's not on me. Because nobody bothered to RSVP, right? Which tends to be a problem with a lot of events like this. But anyway, it's all about the caterer. It's not about, oh, well, I'll get the ticket at the door. No, you won't. Because by then it's too late,
Very true.
And so, to be perfectly honest, we won't even sell tickets at the door for that event. Ain't gonna happen. Because, like I said, we need to know it's about the caterer. How many people? Because, of course, that's the first question out of their mouths when you call them to get the catering done. Well, how many people do you anticipate? I have no idea. Well, we got to start with something. So, well, call me back when you know, right? And we're like 3 weeks out now. Okay.
Gotcha.
And I don't know.
It's going to come together, I'm sure.
Oh, it will. It always does. But it's just, I can't stress enough the fact that you really need to buy your ticket ahead of time for the VIP reception, which means Danny will be there and Charles and everybody else.
some homework because, well, I just want to know who is your favorite actor or actress and why.
God, that's such a big question. I have several favorites. I know just that one.
Tell us about one.
Let's see, just one.
Just one.
Okay. Idris Elba. Idris Elba, and I'll tell you why. He's such a consummate actor. I mean, he can play anything, anybody. He's been in all these different films, and he's usually playing like everyman, kind of, with a slight edge. Okay. And I just like the way he approaches his work, and I like the end result. Okay, because I think I've seen a good, not most of his films, but a good number of his films, like both on PBS as well as in theaters. So yeah, Idris Elba, definitely.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. Thank you. Southern California, and started making movies there because that was the perfect place to go. It didn't rain that much. Sun was always shining, and yada yada yada. And the understanding was, well, we can figure out the parts and how how this stuff works, and we'll get it together. And they'll never be able to find us. Black Mariah will never be able to find us because they have no idea where we are, right? So we need to take this equipment apart and figure out how to put it back together again, figure out how to fix it if it breaks or when it breaks, and then also duplicate the parts and make our own equipment, okay? That was key. And 3 of those guys were the starting elements of like Paramount, MGM, there's like Sam Goldwyn, folks like that, right? That were initially, they were Russian Jewish immigrants that had just moved from Europe to New York and got into the filmmaking business. That's where it all started. And then they stole that equipment, moved, ran back, well, they'll never find us, and ran down to Southern California and started making movies. They could shoot outdoors all the time, So that's where it started, but it didn't become technically Hollywood till later. But if you don't know that history and how that impacts Hollywood even to this day, right? They were all, the films that they did were all pretty much focused on the American dream. How can we achieve the American dream? Or what's your idea of the American dream, right? And that's what they're shooting for. And you see it, you still see it now. So once you understand that, and the fact that their favorite color is green, you get Hollywood. Even though now it's different because suits are involved now, and it's more business than something creative. A creative business, okay, if you will. But again, their favorite color is green, that's the bottom line. And if they don't understand something, they'll ignore it or make up stuff, which is what they do and what they did. So, but again, it's our responsibility as Black folks to get the history.
Without a doubt.
And if you don't know where you've come from, you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over, and that is not progress. But this festival will be an example of something uplifting, for the whole community. So instead of focusing on Black folks getting